Hello and welcome to Faith, Finance, and Freedom. And today we have a very special guest who I am so excited to introduce you to. This is a mom of five, a homeschooling mom, full-time RVer, and she is a life coach for moms. So I don't know about you. Once you get over one or two kids, I'm losing count. Homeschooling, full-time RVing with five children. This is a woman you want to listen to. This is a woman that knows how to be organized, knows how to get things done. And she has had incredible breakthroughs in her life. And as a life coach, she shares with moms to help them get the breakthroughs they're looking for. So I am very excited to welcome Rita Martens. She is also the coach for Easy Yoke weight loss and Easy Yoke parenting. And coming up, you are going to hear about some other special things she is doing. And her big motto, and I totally agree with this, Rita, I love this motto: God wants abundant life for us in all areas of life at the same time. And she believes that is only possible with his easy yoke. And yes, the Bible does say his yoke is light, his yoke is easy. So we're on the same page. Rita, welcome. I am excited to have you here. I just finished your 6-week decluttering and I feel a lot freer. So I would love to hear from you a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to declutter and become a life coach to help moms.
Thank you so much, Larissa, for having me. It's really a pleasure to talk to you here. And thank you for everybody listening. So my journey started kind of when we moved to Canada. I am from Germany, if you haven't noticed my accent. We moved to Germany in 2009, and we decided not to take a container with stuff, but to let go of most of our possessions and just come over with a few suitcases. And that's what we did. And at that point, it felt so freeing to let go of the stuff. I loved it, but I didn't get the message that I didn't have to actually accumulate all that stuff at that point. So over the years, with adding in more kids, we moved with 2 kids, so we had 3 more kids in Canada. We had more and more stuff again. And then I was doing a coaching program, and we'll get into coaching here, I guess, a little later, but I was doing a coaching program and I was working on the finance part because I knew if I'm not getting my finances in order, I will not be able to actually continue this program. So I jumped into finances. And after maybe like 2-3 months of doing all the things in the finance track, reading through extra books on finance, then I actually 2 extra books on finance. And then our pastor in our church even did a series on finance. And at that point, I felt like I knew it all. I have heard it all, but I still felt it wasn't changing in my life. So I sat on my bed and asked God, where is my missing link? What am I missing here? I really want abundance in my finances as well. And after a while, I was almost getting up. I needed to go and make supper. And I felt like I really don't have time to just sit here and wait for God. But then God said, get your house in order. And that's where like the light came on, because I'm like, oh, I have learned that to be a good steward with what you're having right now so that God can multiply for you later. And that's kind of where it started, where I was just taking better care of my home. And with that, it was like, well, this is just like laying around on my kitchen counter. It doesn't have to be there. I can find a better place for that. And so I started to clean out my home. And it took me about 2 years And I did some decluttering challenges with other people, but most of all, I just needed to do it by myself, and slowly but surely got deeper and deeper into everything. The first time around, I didn't do it as deeply, and I definitely had areas that I was well avoiding. But at that point, I realized that, yes, I want to live a more minimalistic life, and not minimalistic that I want to spare everything off myself, but more to really have the stuff that is really serving me and not have the stuff that is being more of a burden to carry for. It was really interesting how people then started coming to my house saying things like, oh, it's so peaceful here. I feel like I can breathe. And I'm like, people never said that before, when I had boxes standing around, when I had clutter all over the kitchen counter. And I was hiding all my clutter in the laundry room as soon as visitors were coming, but I couldn't put it all in there. So it was really like a burden, and feeling like a lot of shame and guilt feelings that I couldn't keep up my house the way I wanted it. And was having less. That was one of the things. I think I'm jumping ahead in your questions here.
No, hey, this is
So
just
that inspired me
free
to
flow.
declutter, and then inspiring me to become a coach. That's a whole nother story. Story short is I had anxiety.
Why don't we start with the declutter? We'll focus on that a little bit, and we'll ease into the coach, because you have just dropped a few little gold nuggets that I do not want people to miss. So let's just talk about.
Okay, I don't want to jump ahead.
Okay, and again, we're just going to free flow. We're going to see how the Lord leads us. And I love how you talked about accumulation, that you were accumulating stuff. I think we can all relate to, it's so easy to accumulate stuff, but how have we been trained? Would we rather accumulate stuff, or would we rather accumulate stewardship of our finances so that we can buy the things so that we can have a full life? Do we want stuff, or do we want freedom? I love how you talked about it taking about 2 years to go through the process. And I think that's reassuring, because it's not just, I'm going to take a weekend course and boom, my house is going to be decluttered and I'm going to feel that peace. It's a process, and it's developing habits. And obviously it's worth it for you to have that peace, and even people to walk in your house and say, wow, I feel good here. I feel at peace. But you mentioned shame and guilt, and I would love to just stay on that for a minute. I think as moms, we work 24, we're on call 24/7, 365 days a year. And there are certainly images that are around us, even in our own mind. And if we're not meeting that, shame and guilt is something I think all moms struggle with. Are we good enough? Are we messing up our children? Am I a good enough mom? Why is the house? I mean, there's so many things that go through our mind. What helped you move through that shame and guilt that you mentioned?
Well, the coaching has definitely helped me there to let go of the expectations, because the expectations can screw us up so much. And I shifted from, I want to clean my house before people come because I don't want to feel the guilt and shame, to, I want to clean up my house because I want people to actually feel welcomed here, and that they have the space to breathe, and that we can have conversations without feeling like the unrest of clutter in that. So that focus totally shifted, that the reason for decluttering wasn't to avoid, but was to create that environment.
Wow.
And with just like focus, like with just changing that focus of from inside me and away from bad to outside to the other person that I'm having over, that's a big thing. It's a lot of times if we are sometimes so focused on ourselves, and especially negatively focused, we can spiral down very easily. But then focusing to the outside, surveying the way that we've been called, that one is shifting us as well.
Wow, so good. So that is so good. And I'm so glad you said that, because it's so easy for us to focus on the negative and say, I need to get rid of the clutter, and there's clutter here, and I need to do this, and I need to hide the clutter, and where's the clutter? And I'm going to stuff it under the bed, in the closet, the clutter, then I got to deal with the clutter. But what you focus on, you get more of. And if you're saying that, you're going to be getting more clutter, but you said, change your focus and say, hey, I would like to create a place with more peace. I'm going to create more peace and more comfort and have it welcoming. And I'm going to think about the other people, serving who's going to be in my home. And that is powerful. If you are listening to this now, write this down, pause the video, because that is a secret of success in anything you are doing in life. Anything. If you want to be good at guitar, you're not going to say, I messed up on that, I messed up on that, I messed up on that. You're going to change your focus and say, oh, I did that thing good. And that one was good. So you focus on the negative, you're going to get more negative. You focus on the positive, and you're going to be planting seeds of those positive things. So you will get more positive things. That is powerful, powerful stuff. And letting go of expectations.
Thanks. Yeah. And the same in decluttering too, to actually look at the areas that you have done already instead of thinking like, but my whole house is still cluttered. I started only in the kitchen. And instead of beating yourself up about what you still have not done, to focus on the winning. Hey, I have done this. I am winning at this, so I can move forward. This is super important for the dopamine in our brain to actually keep the drive, keep us going. That's what I do in the decluttering challenge, that I constantly are pointing out the little steps that people do, and we celebrate them so that it's helping us to keep on going and not quitting.
Wow. It's powerful, and it works. And as a mom, have you noticed that it influenced your parenting in how you help your children, instead of so easy to point out, you didn't clean your room, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. Did you see it spill over into how you encouraged your children?
Yeah, that's one of the like important communication things that I am doing with my kids, is that I mean, that's in my parenting course, but one of the things is that before we even bring up the things that they have not done or not done correctly, that we really create the heart-to-heart connection so that it starts on a positive note, and then bring whatever we need to tell them, and then also to end with an encouragement that we believe in them, that they can do this. This is a strategy that I use every day with my kids, because we do like a pre-game talk with our kids every day, at least once a day. And this has definitely, I've seen so much better if I am showing them, hey, thank you for doing this. This was really good. Instead of just pointing out all the things that they have not done or have done incorrectly. Not
Right.
up to my expectations.
So good, so good. And then I'm sure we all have parented that way at some point with our children, because just easier to go there. And just by talking to you, I can see how it could bring about shame and guilt on your children and just really shut them down. And as moms, that's the last thing that we want to do. So what you're
Yeah.
saying here is really powerful. Really good
And
stuff.
also, it also shifts the kids. When I started decluttering, my kids changed with that too. So I know my daughter, she looked up a video, like showed her a video where she was little. She's my last baby. And she looked at the video and then like, Mom, why is the house so messy? Because it was Christmas time and we had boxes of Christmas stuff still standing around. It was so funny because for her, the neatly picked up, not perfect, but neatly picked up and organized house was the norm.
Mm,
And I could totally tell that my two little ones, they don't know it really differently. And for them, it's the easiest to let go of their stuff.
wow.
The older ones are sometimes struggling a little more with that.
Mm, mm. Okay. So
And yeah,
yeah, letting go. That that is a big one. I love how your daughter and the younger children are just developing these habits at a young age. I did not develop these habits. But letting go, do you find that there are some items or areas that women struggle with letting go more than other areas or things? Like what is hard to let go in our decluttering?
I mean, sentimental items are usually the ones that we struggle with because they are sentimental items. Other than that, I think it's the items that we feel guilt about
Mm,
because we paid so much money for them. And so we don't want to let them go because we feel that, yeah, either shame again, but also that we think lack. So it's the lack
mm,
mentality behind that, that if I let this go, I am losing money because I will not be able to get my money back. And yeah, so that can be hard to let go of, even if it is not serving us.
right.
And so sometimes I'm sad that the pain of staying, like having it there, is not bigger than the pain of letting it go. And so when we would have less pain in letting it go, then we could let it go, and we wouldn't have to sit in the pain of still having that reminding us of the bad decisions that we made.
Wow. So we, in our minds, it sounds like you're saying that we can't let it go because we're like, it's too painful to let it go. But we don't realize that once we let it go, we're going to actually feel less pain.
Yeah.
That's so I want to talk about money and finances and what you said. It is so easy to think, well, I paid good money for that. I don't want to let it go. What if I need it? It's a poverty mindset. It's a lack mindset. And we're focusing our mind again on negative things rather than
Yes. Yeah.
moving over to, but I'm going to receive freedom. And what's that worth to me? I'm going to have more peace. Can you put a price tag on that? What's that worth to me? I'll be teaching my
Mm.
children better habits. What price tag can I put on that? Is this thing that I paid good money for worth more than what I'm teaching my children? Um, So, and this is something that I definitely struggled with, and I still have some boxes and some things that are valuable. I don't have time to sell them right now. You know, I still have those things. Do I sell them? Do I donate them? Um, and again, does decluttering actually help you save money? Because when you're in the midst of it, it feels like you're losing money.
Yeah. Yeah. And this goes hand in hand with decluttering. The house as a project is only one part, Because the thing is that your house will go back to totally cluttered if you don't put habits into place to keep it that way. And one of my favorite things that I got out of decluttering, actually going through a store and thinking, I don't want anything here, just give me the groceries. That I go through the kids section where before, out of lack mentality, I was thinking, oh, I would love to buy this for my kids and this and that, but it's all too expensive and I can't afford that. Then going by all of that, or like furniture, like look at it, oh, I would love to have this and that. To then go and think like, I want nothing of this because I don't want more in my house. And so that one, like the habit actually of keeping it and of not accumulating again, is again a completely different habit from actually decluttering. Because a lot of times things look shiny, right? So in decluttering, it's the opposite. We're trying to find the things that are not shiny, but then actually seeing the shiny things and saying, I am deciding against that because I am deciding for the freedom that I want to have. I'm deciding for the clutter-free home that I want to have. That is a big one. So it has saved me a lot of money because I was stopping having all the different decorations. I was stopping having all the different knickknacks that I found really nice and all the candles and all the things because I stopped buying them. And it's been actually really interesting because even with gifting, even if we get something, you know, it's just like what I say is like, this is not aligned with the lifestyle that I want to live. So thanks, but no thanks. And sometimes it's a little awkward, especially in the beginning, but that one has also to do with boundaries. So like we are learning to say no to ourselves when buying, we also learning to set boundaries with other people in giving us stuff, gifting us stuff, and selling us stuff as well. Yeah, the hardest part is probably with family.
Right,
Yep,
right.
my mom. My mom's the worst in that. And sometimes I would like to go and declutter her house, but I know that that won't help her because I know that if she doesn't change her mindset, this will actually not change her life.
Yeah.
It will just go back with other stuff. And so it's just, yeah, that's why I want to help people to do it themselves because that is way more valuable if I help them to help themselves instead of doing it for them. And then they just go back to it because they have not had the change of mind with it.
Wow, very good. Like, if you give somebody a fish, you fed them for a day. If you teach them how to fish,
Exactly.
you fed them for life. And so many great things that you mentioned here about shiny object syndrome versus freedom. You know, and going through the declutter challenge with you, those 6 weeks, every time I went to the store, I was not attracted to the shiny objects because it was painful getting rid of stuff. Why do I want to bring that back into my house just to collect dust and clutter things up? And so that definitely helped. I love how you talked about alignment and boundaries. And whew, we could probably just have like a whole weekend seminar only on alignment and boundaries. But that,
Yes.
you know, that is powerful. We need to choose, like you said at the beginning, what sort of life do we want? What sort of lifestyle do we want to have? It's up to us to choose. And once we've chosen, then we'll know where to put our boundaries. Then we'll know what aligns with that. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And it also helps if we really have the physical boundaries to that. Because for us, living in a motorhome as a family of 7, we don't have the space for so much stuff, right? And that helps us all of us to actually keep it small. So it's the first thing is if somebody wants something, where are we gonna put it? Because there's maybe no space for that. Or it is, what else can you get rid of if you want this? So that it doesn't get too much, but that one definitely helped me in the last few years since we've been in the RV to actually keep the things low, or even to let go of the things where I wasn't ready to let go them before.
Yeah.
Because there's better things that I wanted.
Right, right. I think one of the things that my husband and I have talked about, even going through this, is we would rather spend our money on experiences rather than things. And for the big part of the early part of our marriage, and having my son, there was a lot of collecting. Having our child was the experience. So let's buy everything, let's buy all the toys. And now
I did that twice.
how many toys can they play with at once? I mean, come on. But it's definitely helped my mind change, and I don't want to be overloaded with stuff. I would rather spend my money on experiences and living life rather than dusting.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's the fun stuff with decluttering, that it takes such a load off of actually the cleaning, the house chore. And just in the house already, if there's not so much stuff in the way, it's way easier if you have an empty counter to just wipe over it instead of having to clean up 20 things over there. And the same thing with the motorhome. It gets actually messy quite fast because it's a small place and we're a lot of people, that it takes us 20 minutes to clean it up.
Wow.
So if everybody helps, not just me alone, but that's one of the coolest things to know. Yeah, it looks messy here, but we can get this done very quickly. That's one of the big wins with small places and not having a lot of stuff.
Wow. All right, you hear that, Mom? You want to have an easier job at cleaning your house? Get rid of the clutter. You'll have less stuff to
Yeah.
clean. Yeah, that is very, very cool. All right, so we're nearing the end of our time. This has been so amazing. I do have I have two more questions for you. The next one is, do you have a role model or inspiration, either for decluttering or life in general?
Okay. Yeah. So for decluttering, it's Joshua Becker. I don't know if any of you read his books, but I find that very inspiring. He's a Christian guy who let go of the stuff. And while I was reading his book, I forgot which one, but I was like, oh wow. He was talking about his son wanting to play with him and him wanting to play to declutter the garage. And then he realized, what am I actually doing? Why do I need to declutter this garage every, I don't know how, so many months? I could now go and play with him if I wouldn't have all this stuff. And so that really touched me, and how he like turned that into ministry and to helping others. And yeah, so that's definitely one of my role models. And you can look up multiple books of his, and he has one for moms, like for decluttering with kids, that really inspired me even more, because some of the books that I read, I couldn't resonate with, because there were like single people with not having much stuff. And I was like, no, but I don't want this. And through him and his books, I realized that minimalism doesn't mean that you don't have stuff and that you're trying to do a challenge to have less than this many pieces in your household, but that you really pick and choose what is serving me well in the life that I want to create and what is actually hindering me. And sometimes it is letting go of the good to have the better. And that it's not about, like, it's not a competition on having less or anything or any deprivation, but it's more gaining the life that you are spending cleaning or looking after the clutter, or even like the emotions in that you can feel more free instead of having the guilt over the stuff or how it looks in your house. Yeah.
Good stuff. Joshua Becker. Sounds familiar. I will definitely be looking him up. Now, this has been such a powerful call. I know just from what you've shared, obviously, easy yoke parenting has got to be a go-to if you're a mom with children. Yeah, is it easy? Do you feel like you have an easy yoke, or are you struggling? Rita Martens is the one to go to. The decluttering challenge is free. You have a YouTube channel. You have all those videos up there. Definitely, I want to put down your YouTube channel underneath this video, wherever it's posted. But you have a brand new program, Declutter Your Mind. That's brand new, right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, so tell
Decluttering
me,
your mind.
what is this about? Tell me about this program. How can we join? When is it starting? What do I need to know?
Okay, so at first I want to tell you how it started, because I didn't plan to do a new program right at this time, because we have just recently moved back into the motorhome. So basically, with the 6-week challenge of the decluttering your house ending, we moved into the motorhome. And so I didn't plan to do a new program. We just purchased some land. We're going to start building a cabin soon. And so it's a lot going on in my life. But one of the things that I felt very strongly during this round of doing the challenge again with a group of ladies, I had over 50 ladies signing up, which was amazing. And so with that group, I could see that the people were getting stuck, and they were getting stuck in their minds. So the first time round that I did this challenge, I actually was only a mom mentor. I wasn't a mom coach yet. And at that point, I wasn't so aware of all the mindsets. And this time I could see that the mindsets are the thing that's holding them back. So we needed to let go of some stuff in our minds so that we can move forward to actually declutter the house as well. Thinking about how many moms are overthinking, how many moms are obsessing about things. And often we cannot sleep because our minds are racing and racing, or we have like not the deep, rejuvenating sleep. So sometimes we're just overwhelmed in our minds. Sure, that sometimes happens also because we're overwhelmed in other areas of our lives, and that's all the pressure on us. But the decluttering actually starts in our mind first. And so I am creating now the Decluttering Your Mind program, which is a life experience program, which is really cool because normally I was just giving a lesson. This time I am giving a lesson, and I'm actually taking the ladies through this exercise of dumping stuff out of your brain and actually looking what's in there. In the same way as when we're wanting to declutter, we're taking things out of the kitchen cabinet or whatever we're decluttering to look, what do we actually have here? And to actually decide what of this do we want to keep and what not. And so I'm taking the ladies through that. So Decluttering Your Mind, the first session we did last week, that session is available already right away. You can watch that. The replay is available. And Decluttering Your Mind closes enrollment on Thursday at 6 p.m. No, actually 5 p.m. Pacific. So an hour before we have the next session, because I am not allowing any more people coming in after that, because I think catching up is never fun. And so if this spoke to you, that you really want the freedom in your mind so that you can create the freedom in your life. Our life is always reflecting what's going on in our mind. And I can see that even in my motorhome. When I have a time where my mind is more cluttered, I can see the clutter in my motorhome more. And that can either create the freedom or it can create the chaos in our lives.
Very, very good. All right, so that is this Thursday. We're recording right now on Monday, May 13th, 2024. So this Thursday, if that's something you want to join, you got to get on it. 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time. And it definitely makes sense that your surroundings are a reflection of what's going on in your head. And how can you move forward if you don't have the right thought process? If your brain is muddled, you're not going to move forward. So that sounds powerful. So I am excited. I will definitely have all the contact information below on this video. And to repeat what Rita said, what is serving you in your life? What's serving you and what is hindering you? Let go of those things, even if they're good things. Let go of the good so you can have better. So thank you, Rita. This was phenomenal. Thank you for everybody watching. And remember, keep the faith, free your finances, and find your freedom. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.